everyone. Before we begin, I want to let you know that this podcast is for informational and inspirational purposes only. The advice and insights shared here are based on my personal experiences and expertise, but they are not a substitute for professional, medical, psychological, or business advice. If you are dealing with a specific issue, please consult a qualified expert. And thanks for watching. Hey everyone, and welcome to Hope, Healing and Transformation. My name is Lisa Williams, and today we have a really powerful show for you. I am super excited about this. The guy that you are about to meet has an incredible story. He is living proof that the law of attraction, you've heard about it, the law of attraction, is it really real? Well, he's going to tell you how real it is. And how profoundly powerful. Stacey Taylor spent 23 years in prison. He was sentenced to life with a possibility of parole. But while locked up in prison, Stacy took charge of his own destiny. I mean, literally. And he's now a free man traveling the country as this successful stand-up comedian and sharing a story that will empower all of us. Stacey Taylor, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Wow. I mean, I'm honored. And tell us a little bit about your life in California leading up to being sent to prison. Who were you with? How were you mixed up in all of this stuff?
Well, what I've come to learn from sitting in prison is that everybody that's in prison, everybody that's going through something, that's traumatizing, it was some childhood trauma that was unresolved. And so even with my own self, I had some childhood trauma, some abandonment issues growing up, with father issues. And I didn't understand how serious, that really was, that it made me become somebody that could be the person that I turned out to be, to sell drugs, to gangbang. So, broken family component was my problem that sent me to the streets, looking for acceptance, looking for, some love, and so that was, for me, that was my issue. That's how I got, wound up going to prison. My daddy left me on the porch too many times to sum it all up. He told me he was coming to get me and left me sitting there, and I didn't understand it.
Right. And listen, this is a story. This is a story that happens. It happens. I mean, my own son, I never forget when he was like 2 years old and he said, his dad said, I'm going to come and see you after school. And I have these visions of Charlie standing there with his hands against the windows, just looking for his dad for hours. And, it's a story that happens. And, some people turn to a life on the street with drugs and some people don't. And some people channel it in different ways. I have a friend of mine, Gabby Bernstein, who will say that there's no bad people, just bad people. Bad things happen to those people.
Without a doubt.
And I agree with that. So you were selling drugs and in this gangbanging whole situation, you were kind of, from what I hear, you were kind of like this chemist mixing all of these dangerous chemicals together.
Well, I started real young. I got in the drug game at about 11 when I got in the weed game. And it all initiated from washing cars and taking out trash. I used to go wash all the drug dealers' cars and take out their trash because they didn't want to get up in the morning, and they would pay me. So at 10 and 9, I would do this, and I got to know them. And as I got older, I just graduated into the drugs. They just handed me some weed one day, and I started selling weed, and weed went to selling cocaine, and selling cocaine went to learning how to manufacture PCP.
Right.
So, and that was the first big charge that I caught. Right before I got caught the life sentence, I got caught with 40 gallons of PCP. Yes.
Wow. And what is PCP for those people who don't know what PCP is?
PCP is a drug that's been around for years. It's a liquid form of drug that you mix together, and when you know how to make it, it's all chemicals. The funny part about mixing PCP is that you think you cook it. They say you cook it, but the chemicals cook themselves. You mix the right chemicals with the right ingredients, and it makes this liquid uh, form base that gets you really high. I mean, high,
Right.
uncontrollable. So, and I learned how to do that, and then I was, just in the midst of that life, you learn, it's like I gravitated to everything that was negative, you
Right.
know, because it seemed like that was the way to get the attention, that was the way to get the money, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it all stemmed from, I get it now that I was a broken child, you know what I mean? I'm broken, and so I was trying to look for something that wasn't out there for me, it wasn't out there in the streets, but I was looking for it and I was trying to find it, and it was a recipe for disaster, really. So
Right. Yeah, of course.
yeah, that's
Now,
what it was.
listen, this question at the time when you were selling the drugs, you had a street value of more than $1 million. Were you driven by the money, or were you driven by the need to be wanted or the need to be appreciated? What was the drive for you?
Well, you know what? Like I had a conversation just yesterday with a buddy of mine. It's addictive. See, when you're
Right.
selling drugs and and gang, it's an addictive lifestyle. It's like you bash in the glory of all of it. It all comes together. If you're selling a lot of drugs, you got this notoriety. Your name is big. People want to see you. They light it. So you get all that comes along. It's like a rush. You know what I mean, of adrenaline.
Mhm.
So it was a little bit of everything. It's like I could have never saw myself not selling drugs. I thought that was just the easiest life in the world. It was like,
Right.
why would I go get a job when I can make this fast? I'm not finna work for nobody at no job. No way. Never. Doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Even if I go to jail for a couple of years, I get back out, I'm still got a bunch of money. I'm good. It's worth it. This is my mindset at the time. You know what I mean?
Right.
But just so
Wow.
happened I went to prison one time, and that was it was 23 years. I didn't get a chance to dilly dally back and forth to prison. I did a
Right.
lot of juvenile time though. See, I did a lot of juvenile time. I went to juvenile halls, camps, youth
Wow.
authorities. I did it all. I literally,
Wow.
I was a career criminal. I graduated, started in elementary, which is juvenile hall, and camp was grades was what's that? Not elementary, junior high school, and then prison was YA was high school, and the penitentiary was college.
Wow. Wow. I mean, some people have this life.
Yes.
And so I think it's, a lot of people, a lot of my listeners will be like, this might be very alien to them. And I think it's really important to highlight this.
Okay.
Um,
Well, when I got to prison was the best thing ever happened to me. People, when I tell them that, they don't believe me. Prison
right.
saved me, literally. It helped me fix myself. It made me realize I was broken. In prison, I think I'd probably been in prison probably about, it was 2005 to be exact. So I had been in prison probably about 11 years at this time. And I was watching Oprah. Loved it, Oprah. I don't know. Something about Oprah, even though I was
Right.
in prison all this time. I'm going to watch me some Oprah at 3 o'clock. So, so I'm
I
watching
love it.
Oprah. And she had this lady came on named Rhonda Brines. And she
Yeah.
wrote a book called The Secret. And I'm sitting there
Hmm.
and I'm watching, and I'm not really even really paying too much attention to it. But when she started talking about the book, it was an excerpt in the book that really just caught my attention. It say, uh, wherever you find yourself at in life right now, it's a direct decision of the thoughts that you have been having. And I was sitting in prison and I was like, wow, she's right, you know. And they said, if you change your thoughts, you can change your life.
Right.
Just that simple. And I said, well, that ain't all that hard. I ain't got to do a whole lot of work. I could just, if I think this way, I just think the other way. And so for me, that was the fire that ignited, for me to become a better person than what I was. That little moment of that book. And then I ordered the book and I started reading the book, and the book was just talking about energy. It talks about
Mm.
just everything, is based around energy. You know, we're connected to the universe through the energy we put out. So if we put out positive energy, we're gonna get positive results. If you put out negative energy, you're gonna get
Yeah.
negative results. And as I sit back and thought about my life, I said, well, they're kind of right. It makes a
Right.
lot of sense. It's not rocket science. It's kind of simple.
Yeah.
And so I really really became I really believed in that book. It's something I internalized within myself, and
Mm.
it allowed me to change the way I thought. And it said, if you change your thoughts, you can change your life. And here I sit on a computer, not in prison with a life sentence no more. So I changed my
Yeah.
thoughts and changed my life.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Now, listen, you must have been, I mean, for what you were sentenced for, you must have been around some pretty seriously big criminals. And,
Oh yes.
you know, I mean, did you ever fear your life in prison? I mean, what was it like in prison?
To be honest, and not like that guy was some hell of a guy or something. I never really was scared,
Mm,
about being in prison. And I was scared that I might could die in prison because of so many different things, the elements, riots and uh,
right.
police shootings in prison and all kind of different stuff like that. So that was my biggest fear of dying in prison. I didn't want to die in prison. I
Wow.
need to get
Okay.
back out. I don't want to die.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't want to have figured out life now and die in prison. Just wouldn't make good sense. So that's the only thing that I could say was my fear. But as far as being in prison, like I said, graduated. I had went to these stages already from junior high school, from
Yeah.
Los Padrinas to camps to YA to county jail to the prison. So I had and from these streets, I had already established myself. So people already
Right.
knew me already. So I wasn't, some guy just showing up and I had to make my way. It was like when I got there, if you didn't know who I was, you had heard of me already. You know what I mean? So
Got you.
it was kind of like that with me.
So you know what's interesting is a lot of people. I always say to people whenever they're healing or any going through anything, community is really important. So what I'm hearing you say is that you've already had your community. You had already had your community, and they knew about you, and so there was this camaraderie. So I guess in a way, it became an easier place for you to be, especially over that period of time.
Yes, without a doubt, because it's like I took the same image that I had been portraying out here in these streets, this made up character I had made up that I wanted these people to think, to
Right.
perceive me as, and I took it right in there. So it was the same thing to like I said, about 2005, I got the book The Secret, and that was like it was like everything just started changing from that moment there.
Right.
Everything that I thought made sense didn't make sense no more to me. Just, I
Yeah.
mean, certain TV programs, I liked it. I started reading the book. I didn't like the program. I said, yeah, I don't like this program no more. It's really not entertaining. It's not positive. It's not doing me no good. You know what I mean? So that book just really transformed my whole thought process to the point where uh, I started surrounding myself with different people in prison who was actually trying to get out of jail themselves, who was doing positive things. And we started having self-help programs and classes and groups and stuff like that there. And we should just come together, like you say, the community. That
Right.
now that I had changed from the destructive community, I went to the positive community in prison because it is a such thing as some people who didn't been in prison long enough to understand that it was goofy. You know what I mean? Let me fix myself. Even if I ain't never going home again, I don't want to be the idiot person that I've always been. I want to at least live a different walk, think a different thought. You know what I mean? So, and I started surrounding myself with them people. And when I started doing that, and I started going to these classes and these groups, because I had the possibility with parole. So, and I got locked up in '94. My first board appearance was 2008.
Right.
I didn't get out to 2016 because I had did so much
Wow.
mischief within them 10 years. It took me a whole additional 8 years. I had to go to
Right.
5 parole board hearings before they finally let me out of prison. But like I say, every day in there was needed because I've been home going on 9 years now. And I went to jail at 22. I didn't come back to 45.
Oh,
this is the longest I have been home since I was first born.
I love this. I love this. And I am so blessed to hear that. You answered a question is, obviously getting this book, which was a massive phenomenon. I mean,
Yes,
The Secret was everywhere. And I wondered if anybody that you were hanging out with in prison was reading that. But I love the fact that you then moved to a different group of people. And I've actually worked in prisons.
yes,
Some of my greatest times that I've had is in a prison working with people where I've been doing talks on meditation, breath work, self help, being, thinking the good thoughts, law of attraction, intuition. And I truly loved my time in prison. I used to do a lot of it before I came over to America. It was just one of my and I find them so fascinating because there is definitely two different types of groups. You've got the groups who are like, hey, I got nothing to learn, so I'm going to listen to you and I'm going to waste a few hours because I don't want to be here. And then you've got the other group who wouldn't be seen dead anywhere near you,
that's
you
right.
know? And I get it. So this is amazing.
Yes.
So, how did you use the law of attraction? You started to turn your mindset into then eventually getting your get out of jail card.
Without a doubt, because see, in the book, when it talks about the law of attraction, it talks about your most dominant thoughts are the things that
Right.
will come to you. You know, them will be the doors that will open up for you. What you think is who you are. So uh, I wanted out, and I and I wanted, And the funny part about my situation is once I stumbled up on The Secret, and when I wasn't I didn't even have a date to come home. I'm telling people I'm coming home because I got this mindset. It put me in the mindset. Think it. Don't believe it when you think it that it's going to happen. Don't say it and don't believe it because the universe picks up on your energy. It has
Right.
nothing to do with what your thoughts. It's your energy. So you confuse it. If you say one thing and your feelings is something else, you're gonna get you're gonna get the energy you putting out there. So I understood that part of it. So I believed, and I said I'm gonna come home and I'm gonna be a comedian. And I'm like, this 2007, 2008. I didn't come home in 2016. I'm gonna are you gonna be on
Right.
the, and so now that I'm out, like I said, I done been on some of the biggest stages with Mike Epps, Cat Williams, and some of these people see me walk on that stage that have been in these cells with me. They say, "Oh, he told me he was gonna be a comedian. He on the stage. This is amazing. He really talked The Secret. He talked this book. He tells about this book. He talked this book into existence." And see, I start facilitating group self help groups, and I used to bring The Secret with me to the groups, and I would highlight certain pinpoints that I wanted to share with people. Out the book, the things that I knew that really helped me.
Right.
Turn my way of thinking around. So uh that, like I say, that book was like, you can really, the law of attraction is real. If you
Right.
really, if you believe in your thoughts and believe in what you're trying to do, the universe, I don't know how it works, but it connects with you some kind of way. You know what I'm saying? And all of a sudden you start meeting people that is trying to that's doing the things that you're trying to do, doors will start opening up. You're like, how did this happen? It's kind of like your phone sometimes, you'll say something and then you'll go to your phone and be like, hey, how did this, who put this here? I just was thinking about this here. This is, hold on. Somebody's
It's
got
the
me
it's
plugged
the
in. Yes,
universe's algorithm.
yes, 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 yes. So, yes,
Man, I love this. I love the fact that you put The Secret into practice. And I have a lot of people who, and we recently just did a podcast on someone who had pancreatic cancer. And I worked with her on what I call a vision statement. And I made her listen to this vision statement 3 times a day. And it was all in one loop. And it was about her visualizing how her life was going to be post cancer and how she was healthy. And she had pancreatic cancer, was given 15% of survival. And I said, there's no reason why you can't be one of those 15%. She's now one of those 15%. And
what a
she
blessing.
said it is absolutely the visualization that kept her going. And it's the way that we change our thoughts, we change our mind, we tap into the energy threads that the universe has given us, because the universe wants us to survive. The universe wants to give us everything that we want.
Well done.
I mean, look at you. I mean, you're a walking testament. And now playing some of the biggest stages with some of these like insane
Still
comedians.
unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, it is believable. Let's not say it's unbelievable
Well,
because we want to.
I believe it, but it's like when I'm living in the moment of it, it's like, wow, this is really
Yeah.
happening. I
Yeah.
spoke this into existence. Here I am, and it
Yeah.
just shows me the power, of the law of attraction, and it shows me the power of the energy that we have inside of us that we put out. And if you can channel your energy, the right way, and on positive things that you're looking for out in life, they will come to you eventually. I don't know how it
Give,
happens, but it does.
give me an example of give me an example of something that was really, really powerful, just for the listeners when they're saying, well, okay, so how do I channel my energy? Give me an example what worked for you.
What worked for me was that, all right, because this, we have a tendency of going down a dark rabbit hole of thinking sometime when
Right.
things are going bad. I mean, and we'll flip this situation over and over 50 times, and it's horrible. It gets worse every time. But then at the end of the day, it wasn't even that serious. We didn't
Mhm.
stress ourselves out in our head way more than what the situation turned out to be. So with me, that was a big thing. So I started learning how to direct my thoughts. The minute I have a negative thought, oh, let me get that out the way. Let me think of something positive right now. So that was key for me. That's what I did. So the minute I get ready to go down that rabbit, I'll be, oh no, I'm not going down there. Yeah, it's gonna be all right. Let me think of something else, something positive, something that brings me, uplifts me, bring me up, and that was big for me. And once I learned, got that under control, it was even to this day I still practice the secret. I mean, it's I've eternalized that book, in the way that, it helped me to help others as well. Because
Right.
the book was so simple to me that it didn't have a lot of big words you try to figure out and break down. It was just basic, common sense. That's like one of the things in the book that really caught my attention. They say, uh, you'll believe in the TV. You believe when you turn the TV on, it's gonna come on, and you can grab the remote or turn the channel on anything you want to see. When you turn it, you believe that it's going to be a different channel. They say our lives are just like that TV. If you watching that TV and it's a bunch of static that's on that TV, you ain't gonna sit there and just keep listening to the static. You're gonna get up and turn the TV. And my life had a lot of static in it. And I wouldn't turn the TV. I just let the static just keep going. And I finally got up and I turned the TV, and the static went away, and it was a clear picture. And so that's one of the things that I really took from that book. Like, wow, I get it, because I get up every morning, I'm gonna turn the TV on, and I believe it's gonna turn
Yeah.
on with no problem. And they say
Yeah.
we are connected to the universe just like that. The same way you get up in the morning to turn the TV on, when you get up in the morning, you turn yourself right on into the universe. You connected with it. So
That's
whatever
it.
you've got that static in your life, you need to turn the channel.
Yeah, Joe Dispenza talks about how when you're getting up and doing this, eating the same thing as yesterday, you're reading the same things, you're watching the same things on TV, you're just basically reliving yesterday. And I had a situation in my life where, I went, this whole situation, I don't need to rehash it, but if I'd have told anybody else about what was going on with me and my husband, everybody would have said, leave, 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 leave. But I decided to keep it between me and my husband. And when my brain started to go down these negative loopholes of what was happening, what potentially could have happened, I turned it into a song.
Hmm.
So there was this song, by Mercy Me, I Can Only Imagine. All right. And so every time my brain wanted to go down there, I started to sing, I Can Only Imagine. And I just started to sing that song, and it looped me back out. And now our relationship is like, in fact, he bitched at me a minute ago because I didn't give him a kiss, and he's like, why you never give me a kiss? I'm like, I'm sorry, I love you. I give you a more kiss, so, but our relationship is so much stronger because I didn't let my thoughts take me down that rabbit hole
That's
and
right.
ruin my life
That's
and
right.
ruin potentially both of our lives and our kids. But I think this is the powerful where people say it's so hard. And it isn't easy when it's a choice that we have to make. I'm sure you had those moments where you're like, man, this is hard initially.
Well, you know what? I mean, Not really, because
Oh, wow.
I was already in a dark place. You know what I mean? So it couldn't have got no
Yeah.
darker. It could only got better for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So for me, everything just started getting better. Just really. I mean,
Love it.
the way I felt, the way I deal with people. Everything just really just got better for me when I really just started applying the secret to my life, and it was. I'm telling you, I was blown away. Like, wow, this is. I'm starting to meet. I'm more calmer now. I don't want to. I'm not active to want to just fight and be angry at people. I'm more okay. Let's talk about it, brother. Let me
Yeah.
help you out. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it made me. I mean, even dealing with my grandkids and my folks out here. It has helped me to be a better person. You know what I mean? That book is really
Amazing.
because I know how to deal with people now. And then, like I said, I've been through a lot of self help, so I know I know how to deal with people differently now. When
Right.
I used to just see a person be like, ah, yeah, they on dope fiend, dope. Now it's like this person got a problem. This
Yeah.
person has some childhood trauma that's been unresolved, and nobody has talked to them about it. They ain't willing to deal with it, and they self medicating themselves to try to ease the pain up, and it's never going to work. But I understand it better now. It's not,
Yeah.
you're just a junkie. You're a loser. Nah, it's not that. This person has been through something. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Of
it's giving
course.
me a different perspective on how to deal with people and deal with life, and it's taught me how to deal with life on life's terms and not my
Yeah.
own terms. And that's been one of the keys.
I think, I love comedy. I think how comedy, how people talk about their life, and obviously you've had a colorful past. It's been an interesting past. Had you always dreamed about being this comedian since like a little boy?
Always. Ever since
Really?
little Ever since I seen Lil Richard Pryor on Which Way Is Up, 1978, I've been want to be a comedian. I knew this is it. This is it for me. This is what I want to do. I've been telling dirty jokes ever since I've been in elementary school. I used to get them from the bookie joints. I used to hang out with my daddy at the bookie joint, and them old dudes tell dirty jokes, and I sit there, I be listening. So I go tell a certain dirty joke to my class, and they fall out laughing. We was all kids, so they loved it. So yeah, I always want. That's the funny part about me being a comedian. It's something I've always wanted to do. Always, never. But then drugs came along, and A's not like, well, I don't know no comedians getting no money overnight right now, so I'm gonna have to settle for this drug deals. So I'm gonna get this money right now. I'm
Yeah.
gonna be funny on the block, but I'm gonna go sell this dope right now. But I'll just be funny right now.
Wow.
So I always want to be a comedian.
So let's just pause here and let's just take a clip of you performing.
Today I did my first television interview, today I'm very happy about that, you know what I mean? And today was the first time I was on the news when they wasn't looking for me. I just stepped my game up, I'm telling you. Usually I'll be on the news and looking for me. I'm hiding, my mama calling me, what would you do this time? I did nothing, mama, I'm lying, So it was beautiful, I enjoyed that, better walk out the TV station, I thought I was done, no cops out there, it was beautiful. Well, I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying life and just trying to figure it all back out again, trying to readjust. And a lot of things, have me baffled, with life. One of them is the epidemic that's going on out here with the fellas out here with the skinny jeans. Have y'all noticed that? It's a cold epidemic, I'm telling you. I've seen some guys, they got their ass out, they ripping their jeans, they got their thighs and the knee all out. Y'all seen this?
Yeah.
This is a travesty of justice, ain't it? I'm tired of seeing man ass. I see more man ass since I've been home than I've seen in prison. I'm telling you. There's ass everywhere, dudes. I mean, a couple times I had to look twice, like, damn. Dude got some childbearing hips on him, you know what I mean? It'd be a big hit in prison, you know what I mean? I know some people, you know what I mean? Yeah, he might not never want to wear another pair of skinny jeans again, Because, I mean, yeah, he kind of looked like his mother from the back. One guy I seen, I said, hey, your mother named Cynthia? He said, yeah, how you know?
That's amazing. So after your release from prison,
Mm-hmm.
you met the owner of the LA School of Comedy. What happened then?
Now, back once again, let me tell you how you got to go. I got to go back to the book because it's about energy again.
No,
I
I
had a
think this is
buddy.
great.
I had a buddy who I knew. We went to jail around about the same time. We both got life sentences. He had life without, and I had life with the possibility. We meet up 22 23 years, we almost by around about that same time, and we both done changed our whole outlook on life. He helping people get out of jail. He doing mock board hearings so people can, get a feel of how the parole board is
Right.
going to be. Bump into this guy. I go to board October 14th, 2016. He goes 18th. I get found suitable. He gets found suitable. I beat him out by about a month or two. He's in a program they was doing a parade walking down Santa Monica. And he bumps into the owner of LA School of Comedy, Sunda Kunkrest. And she like, oh, you're funny. He like, oh, no, I'm not funny. I got a partner that's funny, though. Let me call him. And he called me right there. What's up, man? He's like, oh, man, I got this lady. She owned the School of Comedy. I told her you're funny. She put on the phone with me. She said, hey, your buddy said you're funny. I said, yeah, I'm pretty funny. She said, well, come down Wednesday. I do an open mic free trial. I'd never done comedy in my life, never been on stage. I just been telling jokes in prison and all throughout the neighborhood. So long story short, I meets the lady, goes down there Wednesday. I do my first set. I have everybody laughing. I'm talking about, because I'm fresh out. I've been gone 23 years. I'm seeing things I don't even know it's possible, Men as women, women as men, homeless people living in tents with cell phones and TV. I'm like, how you homeless with a cell phone and a TV? You living good,
Yeah.
So there was a lot of stuff just blew me out the water. I wound up meeting Sunda, and she took a liking to me and called me back the next week. And I wound up meeting a guy named Peter, who used to own all the Westfield malls.
Right.
The billionaire. When they told me he was a billionaire, I was like, yeah, right. This Australian guy with the stringy hair and the all right jeans, he can't be no billionaire. He don't even look like a billionaire. How he gonna be a billionaire? He was a billionaire. He took a liking to me. That's why I say the universe. The energy you put out. I wanted to be a comedian, and it just shifted me. But then me being home of 90 days, I had signed the contract with the billionaire guy to fly around for a whole year, tell jokes, shoot a reality show, and they gave me a nice paycheck. This is the first time I had ever heard this word. This is why I like white people now, because I never heard this word. He said, I'm going to give you a stipend. I didn't know what the word was. I said, a stipend. Well, I can't ask you what it is. I look stupid. So thank you. You're going to give me to me. You rich and you're going to give me whatever it is. I'll take it. Whatever the stipend is, I want it. And I had to Google it. I say, Siri, what is stipend? So they will give you some money. I said, oh, shit. I like white people, right? Give me some money. So he gave me a stipend to hold me over for a whole year. I said, this is all right. And I didn't have to do none of the puffy stuff. I had to diddy nothing. No. You didn't do diddy. You didn't do no diddy. No diddy nothing. I had to touch nothing, see nothing, look at nothing, none of that. Had to put no oil on. None of that happened. None of that. We was just cool. We was just all friends. He just liked him. Didn't cost me nothing. Yeah. I'm telling you the truth.
And you did that with my producer Ray.
I did that with Ray. That's how me and Ray met. Me and Ray had fun. I think Ray like the third white guy I've ever hugged in my life. Because I ain't hugged a lot of white people. I ain't been around white people to hug. So
I don't even think I've ever hugged Ray. Maybe I have. Yeah, I think I have. Yeah, I think so. But so we have a video from the tour where you actually got married at the Wedding Chapel in Vegas. Tell us about that. I mean, this isn't crazy.
Okay, well, let me tell you the story before that. I actually met my wife on illegal cell phone I bought from the police. True story. I can't make it up.
You can't make this shit up. I'm telling you.
So this was in 2000. This was in 2011. I got my first cell phone. And I met my wife, and then we got married in 2013 while I was in prison. So Peter said, hey, man, I heard you met your wife in jail, you got married. You tell, because I got a joke about it. He said, let me pay for you and your wife to get married out here. Man, you ain't got to tell me twice. Shit, let's go. And they paid for me and my wife to get married, and my friends would come out for us to have a real wedding, so it was amazing. That time was amazing. Yes.
You really have been blessed. I mean, seriously, the secret, opening yourself up, the universe, it's incredible. The universe really does have your back, as Gabby Bernstein would say. And now you are doing these comedy tours. I mean, how is the comedy going now for you?
Comedy's going good. I've been opening up for Mike Epps for the last 4 years.
Wow.
He's been flying me around, and let me open up for him. I done opened up for a lot of comedians, Sherry Shepherd, Cat Williams, Earthquake. I done been on stage with a lot of them. A whole bunch of people I used to see on TV and dream about getting to know. I'm hanging out with them, you know what I mean, and we telling jokes and having fun. So it's been amazing. I started my own podcast recently.
That's awesome.
I wanted to give back, and the name of my podcast is called "How Did I Get Life?" And I'm talking to ex-lifers and ex-lifer people that had life without, and they telling their story how they got life and how they came home and the changes they had to do and what they've been doing since they've been home. Because this guys who done got out and who's doing amazing things, who done bought homes and businesses after doing 30 and 40 years, you know what I mean? So I know a whole long list of people that who done got out of jail that had life. So that's what I'm doing. I started the podcast, and I want to, and I just want to show people how the childhood trauma that's been unresolved led us to be the people that we turned out to be. You know what I mean? It wasn't we were just bad kids, whatever. It was something, somebody traumatized us as kids, and and we didn't, and definitely in the 70s and 80s, we didn't believe in therapy. Black folks didn't believe in therapy, so we don't do therapy, and like, me, I had daddy issues.
So, it's funny because I always say that, as a child, we only know our basic emotions. Our basic emotions are love, hate, like, dislike. And as we start with our basic emotions, that childhood trauma, then whenever we're triggered, we revert back to being that child, and we go back into those basic emotions rather than the complex emotions that we have as an adult, such as, well, maybe I dislike this or I'm disappointed. And so what we're doing is we're reverting back to that wounded child. My wounded child is 7 or 3. And what we do is we start acting and reacting from that space. And I think it's so powerful. And I'm English, okay? So in English, we didn't have therapists. I came to America and it was like, holy shit, now I need a therapist? Why is, so I'm like, wow, this was a big new thing for me.
Yes.
And so I get it. And I love the fact that now you are actually, this name, you're talking about childhood trauma, because childhood trauma can create bad situations. It can create illness. It can create so much, it can cause us to have so many bad things that happen in our life. And now here you are, and I'm very blessed to be talking to you, where you've proven that the law of attraction really does work. And I think it is, and obviously you're still practicing it today, and it's just incredible. Yeah. Absolutely incredible. Do you have, I want to just close the show with words of wisdom. Do you have any words of wisdom you would like to offer our listeners and viewers, just to help them? Maybe they're struggling with something in their life.
My words of wisdom to anybody. This is a slogan I use every day. Nobody cares about how you start. They only care about how you finish.
Amen. I love that. So do you have a website or social media where viewers can find you and follow you?
Without a doubt. I have I'm on YouTube at Stacey Taylor, STACEY, Taylor TAYLOR 72. That's my How Did I Get Life podcast channel. I'm on Instagram as Stacy, STACEY _ Taylor _ comedian. And on Facebook is Stacey Taylor Senior. And you can find me on any of them platforms, and I'm having fun. Life is great.
We'll link your details in the show notes. Okay. Stacey Taylor, your story has been incredible, honestly. I want to thank you so much for
having me,
spending time with me and sharing it with the viewers. It's been remarkable. So
thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Thanks to the viewers. Hey, Ray, appreciate you, man, for always thinking about me. And it's been great. I loved it.
Absolutely. Thank you. And so, listen, those of you out there, if you've ever doubted the law of attraction, whether it's real or whether it's just this like woo-woo thing, you might want to think again, because Stacy is living proof that you can attract the life that you really want to lead, even when you're at the lowest of lows. So thank you so much for watching. My name is Lisa Williams. Thank you, Stacy, and we'll see you all again next time. Thank you so much for joining me today. And remember, the information shared on this podcast is meant to inspire and support you, but it's not a replacement for personalized advice from a qualified professional. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with someone who might benefit. And don't forget to tune in next time. Until then, take care and keep believing in something better.